Welcome back to another Medtech Snapshot. With me today is the CEO and co-founder of IntelVasc, Andrew V. And we're going to be talking about some fun topics, everything from how do you transition out of that large organization into your own startup? And perhaps more important, how do you find the right co-founder to join you and build that team? We also have a surprise question for Andrew, so stay with us. All right, Andrew, welcome to the podcast. So, hey, we're going to start off the discussion with, you, just like me, we've both transitioned in our careers out of a large organization into a company of one, right? It's a really tough transition. So I'm curious, in your perspective, how do you make that transition work? Where you're going from a large, potentially a strategic organization, call it tens of thousands of employees. How do you go from that into a company that has no structure, no organization, and it's just you or maybe you and another individual?
Yes, no, it's a very good question, Travis. It's certainly a big change. I created my career working in the large organizations. I started in Novartis, one of the largest pharmaceuticals in the world. And then I moved to medical devices at Terumo, which is another giant. That's a very different way to approach things, but also it's really exciting. I would say that you should. At least my journey, my experience, I reflected on it quite a long time because it was a very big change. It would suppose a big change for my family and not only for myself. And you have to consider that, and you have to consider why you are doing it, right? Yeah. Is it because you like innovations, because you like science, because you want to do something larger than just working in a product family, whatever? In my case, my experience was because I accumulated certain acumen of experience in the cath lab. I supported over 200 surgeries with different vascular surgeons around the globe in over 40 countries. But what actually triggered my decision to do something else, it was the loss of my best friend out of a stroke. This made me think that I should do something with this knowledge beyond growing the corporate ladder, which, again, don't take me wrong, large corporations do a lot of good. I'm all for it. They are bringing products that otherwise to the market, to patients that otherwise wouldn't be there. But if you could take a bit of your knowledge, a bit of your grit, because you have something else, then you might be set for success in the long run. If you want to bring some innovation, in my case was that I couldn't understand, still can't, that deadly cardiovascular conditions are not anticipated and not predicted. You have a stroke and then everyone runs to try to save your life. You have a heart attack or you have a limb loss, everyone tries to prevent it, but after the fact, not before. And for me, it was inconceivable that couldn't be a better way to monitor these patients that we know they are high risk. Perhaps sometimes they already had a mini stroke, perhaps they had already a revascularization procedure in the leg. So these patients ought to be surveilled in a much more frequent way that hospitals can provide. You cannot ask a patient to be every day in a hospital, right? So you ought to think different innovations or different ways to do things for the benefit of these patients. So that was my main trigger and can give you the resilience to go through all the toughness of the process of innovation, of becoming solo founder, or in my case, with co-founders aiming for the same goal, resourceless, completely bootstrapping at the beginning, and for a long time being without a salary and assume that all the money that you are going to initially obtain, it's going to go towards the R&D and the company.
So Andrew, you just shared with us, in my own words, what I'm going to kind of boil up to is the why, right? So the why in your transition, going from large corporate America to your own startup, early stage startup, it really has to be more than, for example, the one thing I hear people talk about is getting rid of the big company bureaucracy, right? Can you talk real quick about maybe two things that you've learned in your time owning a startup, things that you now look at as like, this is what I love about what I do. And maybe others who are listening to this take away from, okay, I have that same passion, and maybe that helps them make that transition into a startup.
Yes. If you do that because you want to get rid of the bureaucracy, you better not be the CEO. Because you might not have bureaucracy, but for sure you're going to learn a lot of paperwork. You're going to learn about legal, you're going to learn about quality, ISOs, regulatory, the product development, product design. I mean, you are going to be loaded on paperwork. So you might not do it in the bureaucratical way that makes you avoid mistakes, which is what the big corporations set up. But certainly if you want to avoid bureaucracy and paperwork, I mean, CEO, I'm not sure is going to be your role. But big the big advantage, or the big let's say positive things that comes with this role is that you can inspire others with bring them to your own passions and inspirations, and bring smarter people than yourself to be at your side and come up with solutions that on your own you might not have invented or designed. So the fact that you can inspire others with your own vision, and you discover the generosity of people, which not only comes with money, which as well, it sometimes comes with money, but the time that even from innovators, professors, industry leaders, associates, and even investors. I mean, I was just thinking the other day, investors, they have one goal, which is taking money from other people and make it grow faster than the average of the market. So these investors have zero time of wandering around and searching weird things and coaching people. They ought to find the right companies and invest all their time and effort on make them successful in an environment with 95% of companies fail. So they have a huge risk. And even that, I found many VCs and investors that spend time with me, coaching me what it would be the right way to move my company forward, so it's also financially stable and set up for success. So companies, at the end of the day, startups, we are nothing without the generosity of others, and people on our side that come together, moved by our own inspirations. That's very rewarding.